For those more comfortable working with notation, we have the staff view. Selected from the Views menu or by pressing Alt-6, it consists of a staff pane and a fretboard view. If the fretboard view doesn't show, it can be selected from the Views menu. Any notes at the now time and the current track are displayed on the fretboard. Tracks are added to the view by using the track picker. A track cannot be edited in this view until it's been added here. The layout is changed by right-clicking in the staff pane and selecting Layout from the context menu. Any tracks that have been added to the staff view can be configured. Various options for each track can be set here. Each track can have independent settings. Options include the staff type and display options such as whether beam rest, chord grids, pedal events and tablature are shown or not. Tab display is also set here, and there are presets for regular guitar and bass. It's also possible to define your own by clicking on the Define button. Here you can set up custom tunings and fingerings. The finger position settings are determined by the Method option. Fixed will try to work to the specification that you set, such as lowest fret and fret finger span. Floating will try and optimize to open fingering. MIDI is helpful for MIDI guitars and will use MIDI channel number to determine the string. Finger span and lowest fret relate to the fixed option that we've just looked at in the method. The number of frets is the number of frets to use in total. The first channel setting tells Sonar what channel to put the first string data on. 11, for example, will use channels 11 to 16 for each string 1 through 6. Skip channel 10 can be used to inform Sonar that your guitar isn't transmitting on channel 10. String tunings are set here too, and once set up, the whole lot can be saved as a preset. Font types for various text used in the view, such as for track names, lyric text, measure numbers, expression text, etc., can also be set here. The toolbar contains icons that act as edit filters for the data you want to work with for adding lyrics, entering chord names and guitar grids above the staff, for entering expression symbols, and hairpin for adding their relative dynamic instructions. Pedal events can also be added. To the right of those are the time and pitch locator, which will display the current now time and pitch position of the cursor. Left-clicking in an empty space to draw notes. Left-click and drag to draw and then reposition notes. Right-clicking on a note opens the note properties for detailed editing. In addition to the properties that we've seen in other views, fret and string number can be set here. Right-click and lasso will select multiple notes. Deleting notes can be done by selecting the Erase tool from the toolbar or HUD, or selecting the notes and pressing Delete. The display resolution is set in the View menu. Note that you cannot draw at a lesser resolution than a display resolution, regardless of the draw resolution. For example, the smallest resolution that I can draw here will be a 16th. If you change display resolution, any drawn notes will retain their values, but new notes will only be possible at the new resolution. There are a couple of options that control the accuracy of the notation displayed: the fill durations and the trim durations. In a MIDI track, a note can be any length and positioned anywhere within a measure, which may not be exactly on the beat or an exact note length. This is what gives music its human feel, but you may not want to see that notated in such great detail. Turning on the fill durations and trim durations will visually fill and trim notes up to or back to the nearest note. For example, I've got two tracks here that were played in, and they will be slightly off the grid. If I uncheck the fill durations, you'll see that the notation reflects the way it was actually played. Trim duration changes the note length, but only as displayed. These options are mainly for existing material. Entering notes with these options on may be confusing, as the note will follow these settings. For example, if I try to enter an eighth note, which you can see from the draw resolution in the HUD, it displays as a quarter beat. It won't display as an eighth till I add another note within the same beat, and now it displays correctly. As a rule of thumb, these options are best on when viewing existing material entered by a different method in a MIDI track, and off while entering notes via the staff view. You can see it's now possible to enter notes accurately. Using the corresponding icon in the toolbar allows us to enter the relative data, again with the Smart tool. The area where the data can be entered displays white. Lyrics are written in the text area. After clicking beneath the relative staff note, each note accepts a syllable, and pressing space on the hyphen key will move the text entry focus to the next note. During playback, the current line is enclosed in a box and the current word is highlighted. If you wish performers to be able to read the lyrics, you're better off displaying them in the lyrics view we looked at briefly in the view's overview. And there the font can be set to something much larger so that they can be read some distance from the monitor. If you wish to create lyrics from an audio track, you'll need to create a MIDI track to hold them. Chords are entered above the tab, and once a chord name has been entered, right-clicking on it will bring up the guitar chord properties box where the correct chord diagram can be selected, or if necessary, created. Expression symbols are drawn in a similar way to lyrics. Right-clicking will bring up the properties box for them. Hairpins are added by left-clicking, and right-clicking on an existing hairpin will allow you to change from a crescendo to a diminuendo. Pedal marks are added to the very bottom of the staff and need to be associated with a MIDI event. Events in the tablature are added with the left mouse button by click holding on the required string and dragging up or down to set the required fret number. Changes made in the staff or on the tab are reflected in each other. And that completes a very brief look at the staff view.